too. I mean, I remember when they talked about the move to tight end, they said, hey, he can be a difference maker maybe as a receiver. Give us something we don't have. Probably your biggest contributions today to as a blocker. Did you take pride in that, or what? Did you find a little humor in that?
Yeah, that's something, that has kind of been questionable, I guess, for everyone to see what I can really do. But even myself, never being in the game to actually show or prove to myself what I can do, I think now it's kind of been proven that I can block. And I guess we'll have to see about the receiving part of it throughout the rest of this season. But definitely want to staple on that Wisconsin tight ends we block. So if that's what we're going to do, then I promise you, that's something I'm working on. That's something I'm going to be good at. So.
Let's say, when did you first know that you were going to get in the game? I know with Cam also suffered that injury during the game, but when did you first know that you'd be having possibly a chance to stand out or to play, and just what were your emotions?
Well, I mean, just throughout the last 2 weeks, we've been banged up in a lot of spots. So really just prepare myself to go in, regardless of what happens. You never know, if we're blowing them out or if we're losing bad and we need to get some guy a break. I just want to be prepared anyway. That's kind of the standard here. Regardless if you're projected to play or not, you need to be ready and you need to know the details like you are the starter. So I try to prepare myself as a starter, even if I didn't get in. So I would say I kind of knew that Thursday walkthrough after our last padded practice, okay, I got plenty of reps in practice. I've been working on it all week. I'm pretty sure even on that Friday, when we were padded up and going through our pregame and stuff, I was getting those reps. So I was pretty sure that I would get at least a couple. But to go in there, and I think I had 8 total, it was awesome experience for me, and definitely felt good to get my feet wet.
Total snaps?
Yep, I believe so.
When it comes to just what type of blocks it looked like you were kind of crashing down. I think it was a couple on Karlaftis. Just what type of wham blocks, or just what were they asking you to do?
Yeah, so we had a lot of inside zones and back blocks for me. That was kind of my thing, to go across the formation and then take out that D end. I think we had one in the goal line. I think John had went down, and we didn't really have any fullback to go in because Cam Lynch unfortunately went out as well. So I was able to go in there. It was really a fullback position I was in the goal line when Braylon got in, but I kind of just knew that it was the same type of assignments that I would have as my H position. So I went up and went in and just kind of put it all out there. And regardless what D end it was, whether it was 5, 98, 99, I just kind of went in there and just did what I've been practicing all week.
Chez's touchdown run, was your responsibility to block down on the end there?
So on Chez's, that was outside zone, I believe. So my responsibility was to take the Sam, number 6 on that. We didn't have anybody for the safety on that play because they were bringing field pressure to outside zone. So really, it could have been a disastrous play. We made it work, and Chez spun out that first block, and after that, took us to the house. So we all were on our assignments on that play.
What did you call that play? That when you went across the formation to get the end? What did you call
Yeah, that's a back block, and that's on a inside zone. When I go back on a D end.
Mm-hmm. And then how long did it take you to get comfortable doing that? You made a couple big blocks on Saturday using that specific play.
Yeah, I mean through the week, that's a lot of things that I work on is doing those back blocks. But really, after the first one against Karlaftis, in the first quarter, I kind of got my feet wet, and I definitely felt a lot better after that. But yeah, that was my first one.
And then where do you feel like you're at in your development as a tight end? In spring, you said you felt like you were getting the hang of blocking schemes and making plays in the receiving game, but where do you feel like you're at now?
Just getting my feet wet with the blocking part, I definitely feel like I can still improve on that and the other aspects of blocking, not just the back blocks and going across the formation, but having a reach block or getting cutoff blocks. I think so far blocking is something I need to continue to prove that I can do. I think I'm good in the receiving game, but I can also work on my route and be more of a technician in that as well. But trying to bring my athleticism into blocking and running routes has really been something I pride myself on. So.
Could you feel a moment when Purdue couldn't really handle you guys in blocking? And if so, can you explain the moment for me?
Yeah, for sure. That first touchdown that Braylon had on the goal line, coaches were coming out to the huddle and we were just screaming at each other because we knew we were right there. And the red zone is the place where we kind of really got to take advantage, and we made that a staple for this week and last week. that we were going to score once we got in the red zone. And I think once we got that first back block where I went up against 98, once we got that one through, I kind of knew, like, okay, this is going to be that kind of game. And we really didn't need to pass the ball the way we were running the ball. We were very dominant up front. So I definitely feel like everyone was confident, and that was that first touchdown kind of led the way for the rest. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
You were moved to the offensive side of the ball because coaches wanted to tap into your athleticism. Obviously, they haven't been able to work you into the passing game yet, but how much has your blocking just come along the last couple of years while you've been working behind the scenes?
Yeah, I definitely think the more that I get the opportunity to do it, the better I feel when I'm in there. So I think over this last year, I've definitely made the most growth. Just watching the guys in game do it, because I really didn't get a chance to study it last year as I was hurt and I was at receiver. But this year, I definitely feel like watching all the guys, seeing Clay and Carucci and all those guys really dominate blocking, I kind of found a way to put some of their stuff into my game as well, and I definitely feel a lot more comfortable blocking now than I did last year. So.
You mentioned preparing like you were the starter. How difficult has that been to do the last couple of years? Even this season alone, I mean, 5 tight ends got in before you did. I mean, was it difficult to kind of just keep that mindset?
I wouldn't say difficult. It was definitely an experience for me and something that I was able to learn so much from. Coming from the other side of the ball, there's so many details that you have to learn before you can feel like you're ready to go out and be confident enough to go out. So I would say that it hasn't been difficult, but it's definitely been something that takes learning. It takes time, and I was willing to wait, and I still am willing to wait. And whatever this team needs, whether I'm the 5th string, the 6th string, whether I'm the last guy to go in, when I go in, I'll be prepared for that.
You were once a second team outside linebacker, considered one of the brightest players on the defensive side of the ball. Has it made your path to tight end difficult, just thinking about that, how close you were to maybe cracking that role there?
I mean, I guess in a way it could have been difficult, but really I think wherever I'm put on this team or whatever role I'm assigned, I'm very determined to get on the field, whether it's in one position or another. I just want to play. So I think continue to work on my craft and continue to learn, never hurt. And now that I know both sides of the ball, it's easier for me to see those defenses games. It's easier for me to understand what the defense is placed. So I definitely think everything that's happened before has led up to this moment and really helped me and kind of molded me into the person I am today. So I'm definitely learning.
So Jaylan, how many special teams units are you on right now then?
So I'm on kickoff and punt return right now.
How has that helped you when it comes to, obviously, special teams helps kind of get on both sides of the ball, but how has that helped you kind of learn the game and get you on offense too?
Yeah, I started doing special teams my redshirt freshman year, and that was kind of my way to get onto the field on defense first. But still, special teams is kind of like my first love. I was able to get on there early and get on almost 3, I think, at a time was the most I've been on. It was definitely something that got me going before the game. It kind of kept me locked in, when I knew I wasn't going to go in on offense or defense. Being on special teams helped me motivate and kind of just be able to cheer on my teammates and still have a reason for myself to keep going. So I was definitely excited to keep that role this year, and then even last year not being on as many, but being on special teams is always one of my favorite things to do, and it definitely gets me ready to go. And starting off that kickoff and the big games and hearing that crowd roar is definitely a feeling I can't forget.
And then I guess looking at Iowa, what do you see from them early on in your film study, and just obviously good defense that likes to stop the run, but it's also obviously going kind of almost strength on strength right now.
Yeah, Iowa's a great team. Them being the number 2 team in the country, it's definitely something that's been on our mind, and we're ready to go mentally, physically, and all those aspects. But I think this game is one of the most important we've had all year. Not just for because they were number 2 or just because of the trophy. For ourselves, I know we want to win out, and we want to do our best to be as prepared as we can to focus on the game we have now, understanding what this game means in the future for what we have. So I definitely think that it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be a real head-to-toe game. So I'm excited to see what we got. So.